The Grenlec Debates. Power, bright ideas.
These are the 2024 Grenlec Debates. I am your host and former Grenlec debater, Ambrosia Charles. Welcome. We're in the second round of competition, the round of 16. The theme for this round is energy policy and economics. The areas of focus are energy policies, economic impact and subsidies, and taxes. Please note that although the students are given the topics and themes to research prior to the match, these debates are impromptu. The students develop their arguments today. They've selected their motions. They have been given 30 minutes to prepare their presentations without assistance from their teachers, and they're ready to debate. Let's get to it. This match is between Wesley College and St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School. The motion is, be it resolved that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar energy production will have negative economic impacts. For the proposition, St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School. For the opposition, Wesley College.
Judges, chairperson, audience, a pleasant morning to all. We are here to conflict on the moot, be it resolved that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar energy production will have negative economic impact, to which my team and I firmly agree. As the first speaker, I will be defining key terms and stating our stance on the moot. Our second speaker will further cement our point to prove to you that we are correct. The following definitions are taken from Oxford English Dictionary. Agricultural land is land or areas of space used for agricultural production and processes. Solar energy is electricity or other forms of power derived from the sun's rays. Negative is consisting in or characterized by the absence rather than the presence of something. Economic impacts is a marked effect or influence or to have a strong effect resulted from economic decisions. Production is the action or process of creating or producing something. Judges, Grenada's main export are its agricultural produce. If we were to use the already limited space that we have for agricultural processes in order to establish solar panels, we will lose more than we will gain. Sure, we will take a step forward in the renewable energy sector. But as that step forward is made, our agricultural sector will take a tumbling fall. We have been named the Spice Isle for a reason. The exportation of our spices have kept Grenada afloat. And not only do people abroad love our spice, but we take pride in what we create. And we should not let the prospect of renewable energy cause us to make such a blunder. Think of the farmers. They need this produce to make a living. Some farmers subsist on what they produce, while most sell it. This trade of goods and services causes much needed money to flow all throughout Grenada. This money can even end up in your hands. Now imagine that. The land that the farmer would have used to cause the movement of that money to happen was filled with solar panels. The trade between the farmer and the buyer never happened, and the money hasn't even come close to making contact with you. In conclusion, Grenada and the farmers that live, subsist, and sell produce from agricultural land are highly dependent on it. If we were to use that land on solar energy production, not only will that cost us to install and maintain said panels, but that will also cost our farmers to lose out on everything they could have. I thank you.
Distinguished judges, accurate timekeeper, worthy opponents, all a pleasant good morning. We, the members of the opposition, stand vehemently in disagreement with the moot. Be it resolved that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar for solar energy production will have a negative impact. As first speaker, I will identify vital key terms in the moot and bring forth a pivotal point needed in this discussion. Our second speaker will speak on the economic development and the boost in the economic sector. Our rebuttal speaker will end this discussion smoothly. Firstly, might I state that solar energy is beneficial in the long run? According to the Repoint Central Organization, energy challenges in the Caribbean include vulnerability to rising violent fuel prices. For example, our $3.50 task on a gallon of gas. My worthy opponents, if we are not dependent on our own energy and we keep having to import fuels, we will never truly be free from these high tax ranges. We are already in the process of using solar energy. For example, in our renewable energy projects, we have a solar Violet plan with our development partner, United Arab Emirates, the UAE, with this estimated to cost 44 million USD. This is from the Energy Report Card for 2022. By using solar energy, we are no longer have to be dependent on imported fossil fuels. In 2022, Grenada imported 140 million in refined petroleum, becoming the 177th largest importer of refined petroleum in the world. This is according to the OEC World. Can you believe that as a small island state, we are importing all of these fossil fuels? According to the Energy Transaction Invites, Grenada is almost 100% dependent on fossil fuels for electric generation, leaving it vulnerable to global gas price fluctuation. Did you know that our agriculture sector is also dependent on fossil fuels? This is according to Mr. Leslie Smith, the head of the ozone unit. I restate my point. Solar energy is beneficial in the long run. The evidence is glaring and undeniable. I thank you for your time.
A pleasant day to all. I stand before you today to further strengthen my team's stance as we stand in unshaken agreement with the moots, be it resolved that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar energy production will have negative impacts. Grenada is known as the Isle of Spice, right? But would there be any spice to begin with if farmers didn't take the initiative to plant them in the first place? My worthy opponents, do you really want to take jobs away from people that make Grenada? If you're somehow still not persuaded, allow me to paint you a picture. Imagine we decide to utilize Grenada's agricultural land to produce solar energy with none left for farmers to plant crops. With no land to plant, Grenada's farmers become jobless, leaving them vulnerable to poverty. Is this really what we want for our farmers, the people who had a colossal hand in shaping Grenada? Moving on, Grenada simply does not have the adequate amount of space to generate enough energy to supply the nation from solar farms. Our lush agricultural land will be turned into large wastelands for all of Grenada's dead solar panel batteries. Though the opposition may try to attack my Q&A persons, saying that we can dispose of these batteries another way, this is simply not true. These batteries must be disposed of correctly, else it can cause severe environmental issues. If you thought this point was mind-opening, well, brace yourself for this disturbing fact. Not only do we need space to dispose of these said renewable energy technologies, the rest of land we would have left over would need to be used to host the working renewable energy technologies. We simply do not have enough space. Judges, the evidence is clear. All these points put forward clearly illustrate that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar energy production will have negative impacts. I thank you.
Good morning, all. Continuing from what my first speaker has stated, the moot being, be it resolved that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar energy production will have a negative economic impact. It is quite the opposite, actually, as solar energy investments will provide long-term economic growth. By fostering energy independence, reducing reliance on imported fossil fuels, and stabilizing energy prices. The increasing demand for clean energy can also drive innovation and investments in technology sectors. Also, investing in solar energy investments will also create job opportunities, as we will need people to set up these farms, maintain and repair these solar energy farms. Which leads me to my second point. Solar panels can boost the agriculture sector. When we invest into these solar panels and become energy independent, the money we would have used to buy fossil fuels will be invested into our agriculture sector, which is one of our sectors that have suffered the most. As mentioned on the Grenada Beyond the Headlines podcast, and I quote, "We are importing fruits and vegetables for our local people," end of quote. Isn't this concerning? As Grenada being a Caribbean country which has the perfect climate for crop production, we need to invest into the agriculture sector, but we can only do this if we are energy independent. I thank you.
Good morning, all. With the opponents, your first speaker stated that we will lose more than we will gain. Are you aware that agriculture is not the only income of our country?
Yes, my worthy opponent, but agriculture is one of our most pivotal incomes in the country, as we export a lot of our spices to other countries in order to increase and keep our GDP stable.
That's the next question.
My worthy opponent, do you think that if we occupy the land with agriculture crops, that we can feed the entirety of Grenada and still have more to export?
My worthy opponent, as the spice aisle, we create a lot of spices. These spices can be exported, which can create revenue and income for us in order to import the same fruits and vegetables that your second speaker spoke upon, that we use to feed and subsist on ourselves. Not subsist, but use to feed.
You just spoke about agriculture being one of the highly ranked sectors in Grenada. But what about the tourism sector?
Yes, my worthy opponent, we can have more than one pivotal sector in Grenada. We have the tourism sector, which brings in revenue as well as our agriculture sector.
Then why must we depend on agriculture alone?
My worthy opponent, we are not stating that we must depend on agriculture alone. We are only stating that agriculture makes up a broad or a high amount of the revenue that we do make due to what we export.
Well, the opponents, are you aware that in the island of Grenada there is excess land that can be used for agriculture, and not only the ones available now?
My worthy opponent, where would that be, my worthy opponent?
These lands can be found in the parishes of St. Andrews, worthy opponent.
But my worthy opponent, that's not enough land to sustain our economy. We still need land to be used to host crops that we export and feed our people.
What about building hospitals with this land?
My worthy opponent, we're not here to debate on building hospitals with this land. How would solar energy boost our agricultural sector when we would have no agricultural sector if we lose our agricultural land?
Well, the opponents, the current situation in the agriculture sector is not that we do not have the land, what is that the farmers are not getting the necessary treatment that they need to grow their crops. By investing in solar energy now, we no longer have to rely on fossil fuels, and now we will have more money in to invest into agriculture.
My worthy opponent, you misinterpreted my question. The mood speaks of using the agricultural land. The mood that you are opposing to, saying that it would not have so much negative impact on the economy especially. No, my question again. How would solar energy boost our agricultural sector when we would have no agricultural sector if we lose the agricultural land to put solar panels and other renewable energy technology?
Solar energy will not directly boost agriculture, but if we are an energy independent country, then we can get the funds to put back into agriculture.
Next question. Seeing that we are heavily reliant on agriculture to sustain our economy, if it is gone, seeing that we use the land for solar energy and other renewable energy technology, what then shall substitute agricultural sector?
Well, the opponent, we are not heavily reliant on agriculture, but if not agriculture, then we currently have the tourism and sporting sector to support.
Tourism and sporting would not be enough to sustain Grenada, my worthy opponent. Anyhow, my next question.
Your first speaker stated that Grenada and the UAE have partnered together in order to create a solar energy farm that will cost $44 million. If we assume that the UAE is forefronting the cost, how much would Grenada have to pay?
Zero. Grenada has paid no money. Grenada has so many supporters, such as the European Union. And also, Grenlec plans to spend 150 million USD implementing renewable energy projects over the next several years. This information is from the Energy Snapshot Grenada.
Can you provide us with a way of saving our farmers from job loss?
Opponents, I call attention upon the disagreeable facts your first speaker had stated. He said farmers would lose more than they would gain. But, my worthy opponents, the same way in which farmers make money, we can make or save much more money using the agricultural land for solar energy production. In fact, the agriculture sector is dependent on fossil fuels. After hearing all these points presented by my team, there is no way you can comply to the most horrendous information my dear opponents have been stating thus far. Isn't it beneficial in the long run? Wouldn't there be a massive improvement in Grenada using these solar panels? I thank you.
After listening to the opposition for a mere 6 minutes and 30 seconds, it is more than my pleasure to refute their outrageous claims. Good morning, all. Firstly, the first speaker of the opposition stated that solar energy is beneficial in the long run. However, my worthy opponents, take into consideration the obvious barriers. As my second speaker more than divulged, Grenada lacks adequate space to house technologies that come with the development of solar energy. My worthy opponents, are you posing that without space necessary, it is possible to move forward in solar energy? Secondly, your second speaker mentioned that solar energy provides long-term economic growth. However, my worthy opponents, this can be strongly refuted. As my first speaker stated, Grenada's main exports are its agricultural produce. So if we were to use this already limited space used to produce our agricultural exports, how do they make money from the agricultural sector? Do you believe, my worthy opponents, that taking away our agricultural exports that contribute to economic growth promotes economic growth? I think not. Lastly, the opposition stated that job opportunities are provided in the solar sector. However, as my second speaker stated, the agricultural sector provides jobs. With my worthy opponents, their jobs are being lost due to the production of solar energy. Is this the job production that you are promoting? With the points of my first and second speaker strongly reinforced, my team and I still stand strongly with the moot. Be it resolved that in Grenada, the use of agricultural land for solar energy production will have negative economic impacts. I rest my case. Thank you.
Today's match winner is St. Andrew's Anglican Secondary School. Congratulations. We say hats off to all participants. We thank you, our viewing audience, for joining us, and we invite you to tune in again for a complete coverage of the next match in the Round of 16 series.
The Grenlec Debates. Powered Bright Ideas.
The Grenlec Debates will be broadcast on MTV Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. and on Saturday at 6 p.m. and on GBN TV Tuesday and Thursday at 6 p.m. and on Sunday at 4 p.m.
Tune in